Hello and welcome to Veggie Patch Ideas, and today we have a brilliant one. It's what we've been all waiting for, what we are sowing and growing in March. As you can see, we're down here on the allotment today and I've laid out what we're going to be sowing in this month. But let's just take a look back for those that didn't start early in February. We'll do a very quick seedling update on what I've got growing at home in the conservatory, and that will then give you kind of a catch up on what you need to do sort of now this month. And don't be too concerned if you've sown nothing in February. I didn't last year, so don't be too worried, things will catch up. But I'll put a list on the screen of everything I sowed in February and throughout February so you can catch up, and then we'll go ahead and we'll get into what we're sowing this month. Okay, so we've just arrived home and we'll show you what we've got going on here. And first up, we've got our tomatoes, and these are the ones, if you can remember, I covered the base of the cell in multi-purpose compost and filled the rest of the cell up in John Innes #1. So as the plant grows, it can go down into the better compost and it'll save me potting on. And these are happy to grow away quite a few more weeks. These ones, on the other hand, which are sowed a week later after these will all need potting on. So these are money makers and gardener's delight. And these they're sowed too thickly for the seed tray, so these will all need potting on. Whereas I've saved myself a bit of time and these can wait. My aubergines have done terrible, just 3 have germinated, so dreadful. I did do a second sowing as I knew this was going to happen. And where are they? These are here. So we've got 2 more aubergines in this row. So that makes 5 altogether, and the nature of seedlings and raising them to actual plants, I'll be lucky if I get 3 or 4 decent plants out of that lot. So there's the aubergines. Moving on to the broccoli. This needs potting on now. The Brussels sprouts, 2 or 3 have come through, so I'm definitely going to need a sowing of those. My spinach F1's come through. My other gigantic spinach has come through. Lollo Rossa is just germinating and that's been in there a month. And lettuce marooned, it's come through, but the seedlings look very, very straggly. Not the best look for it at all. What else do we have? Our chili peppers. These have come through nicely, and a couple more weeks and they'll be ready for potting on. The jalapenos, chilies, they've all germinated and they've all done absolutely banging for the time of year. I'm going to wait until there's the true leaf appears on these until I transplant them on to the slightly bigger pot. What else do we have going? Again, for the second sowing of chilies, these have all germinated, and these again, I'll wait for the true leaves to appear on these and then pop them on. My onions, these definitely need to go out into the greenhouse to get more light under them, and they'll just perk up once they're there. They don't really like it under this table as the grow lights are not constantly always on, so they'll be moved. And what else? We have only 3 broad beans made it. I've had a nightmare with broad beans. First sowing, the mice ate it in the polytunnel. Second one in here. 3 plants that have survived. But first of all, we've got a few things that are ready to go out into the polytunnel, and these are the Kale kimchi. These are now ready to be potted on, so these can go out the way. And these tubs have been absolutely fantastic, by the way. Right, and the next ones, we've got the rocket, which is far too ready. It's gone great. And the maroon seedlings in here, they've gone really well as well. So these are ready to be potted on, or as for the rocket, put out into the bed. So I've got one tester in there already, and I do that with a sacrificial plant first, just to see if it gets attacked by slugs. It survived for 3 or 4 days, so the rest can now go in. I'm happy with that. First of all, we've got our kales, and we're doing dwarf green curly kale, black Tuscany, scarlet kale, and the blue Scotch kale. And these will all go in. Now, these seed packets are quite old. They're 2 years out of date, so it's fairly hit and miss. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sow it into a larger tray because I want a few plants. And then I'll sow a smaller tray with a lid on and heat it up to a really good temperature to try and get the best of both worlds. I just want to see, I want these to germinate. So if they are seeds that are past their due date, then they may not germinate. So that's why I'm going to do it in 2 areas. And it doesn't matter if I use all these seeds up, because they're so far out of date now, they're not going to last another season, are they? So we'll pop these in. And again, we just cover lightly over the soil, push them down, and that's it. So next up, we've got mustard ruby streaks, and these are something to accompany a salad. They're really pretty. I've never grown them before, so it's new on me. So I love doing something new. So this is definitely a new one for me. Spinach perpetual spinach beet. This is a new one on me, and apparently it lasts. If we have a very hot summer, this won't bolt as much as the other spinach. So hence the reason. Global warming. We're going to try and beat the weather and not let the weather beat us with that one. And then we'll go with French radish. So let's get these in. And don't forget, I'm sowing for this allotment and the new plot behind me. So I'm going to sow quite a few seeds this year, because basically if you want 5 plants, try and grow 12 seedlings, because with slugs, them not making it, drying out, not germinating, you know, even go higher, you know, 15 seedlings to 5 plants. It's just the way it works, and if you bear that in mind, you won't go far wrong. For tomatoes, for example, I'll put in, or I'll have 20 or 30 seedlings, and I only want probably 8 plants, and I'll just choose the 8 strongest out of that and then give the rest away. So that's what I do every year, and it always works really well, because if you have a disaster one year, it's not the end of the world. So we'll get some of these. The perpetual spinach, I'm hoping for good things from this. I've never tasted it before, but I'm going to sow quite a few. I'm going to sow, what is it, 10. And then if they germinate, I'll do another sowing later in the month, just so I know I've got backup. Sows. And then French radish. This will germinate really fast, by the way, and it's just a nice cover crop. It'll grow really quick, and you can get it in and out the ground before any of these other ones can go in, basically. So it's nice, and you can sow these fairly heavy. So just sprinkle it all around the seed tray, because I'm not counting how many per cell, because they're coming out the cells as soon as they pretty much put on any sort of foliage, and then straight into the ground. It's still too cold and very wet to sow these direct in March, especially where I am. And I'm in the south of the UK, but it's just rained non-stop for forever. So we're having real problems with waterlogged areas. So I'll do them in the trays, let them germinate, let them put a bit of leaf on, and then they'll go straight out. If the weather turns nice in a couple of weeks, I'll sow directly, probably in here as well. So these are the radish, and I'll push all these down and I'll give these a water in. So next up, we've got another candidate that can be directly sown, especially here in the polytunnel. But I'm going to do it in both areas, so directly sow and trays. And it's bolt hardy beetroot. And again, in the low tunnel, this is doing really well. But I like this for the leaves. I don't really like actual beetroot, strangely enough. It's fine now and again, but I don't eat much of it. I just prefer eating the leaves. So I'm going to put quite a few, and it doesn't matter if you put quite a few per cell, because beetroot is a plant but will grow in clumps, believe it or not. So I've seen 3 or 4 beetroots grow quite happily together, as long as you've got fairly nutritious soil. And we'll push these down. And for the soil I'm using on these, it's just normal multi-purpose compost. Now moving on, we've got, I haven't grown this one before either, so I thought I'd give this a go. And it's greyhound cabbage. That gives you the lovely cone-shaped cabbages. And the lady in the polytunnel over there, she grew it last year and it did really well. So I'm going to take a leaf out of her book. So let's go ahead and do the cabbage first. And again, everything in seed trays. And for these seeds, I'm going to use John Innes #1, the proper seed started mix. Simply because I want to give these the best chance ever to germinate. So I'm going to go 2 or 3 per cell. This is a brand new packet, so I shouldn't really have issues with germination. But again, it's all going to go on temperature, which I'll put a little marker on sort of what sort of temperatures you need to germinate. And please pay attention to germination temperatures. Right now, 6 degrees in the outside, so it's a little bit warmer in here. But you'll find some of the seeds need to be over 10 to germinate. Now next week, I hear it's going to get a little bit warmer, but you never know. So most of these will come home and they'll go inside for the first part of germination. So that's until it breaks the soil. And then it'll either go in here or under grow lights. So, but I'll keep you updated as we go with that. So we're going to go with Lollo Rossa next. And this is a lettuce. I bang on this about this all the time. It's got lovely red curls to it. If you've grown it before, you'll know what I mean. It's just a great doer. So as my lettuce I sowed in February hasn't really done a lot, I'm pinning quite a lot onto this. If this doesn't germinate in 7 days, I'll resow another set of lettuce. So always be mindful and watch your seedlings if they do or don't. So moving on, we have early purple sprouting broccoli. Again, a new one on me. I normally just do the normal broccoli, but we eat a lot of it, so I'm going to try the purple ones this time as well. And again, it all goes down to the fact that I've got more ground, so I can plant more things. So, and just on sort of how much I grow for a family of 4, if that means anything to you. So, and we eat quite a lot of veg. So I don't grow for industrial scale at all. So please don't compare me to others that like to grow and sell their stuff on. I don't do that. I just grow for my family, and I enjoy exactly that. And if I do have it overs, I just basically give it away. There is a really nice food bank for the people of a village who can't afford much, and it's nice to put your overs into that whenever possible. So have a look around, see if there's one in your town, and if you are doing far too many, then it's always worth giving to others. And the next up, broccoli Atlantis. So purple broccoli and broccoli Atlantis. This is an F1 hybrid, and again, where are they? Here they go. I'll be generous on this one as well. So 2 or 3 per cell. We just want to give them the best possible chance of germination. And for this trait, I'm just going to sprinkle some compost lightly over the top. And then just flatten it down. So only 2 more trays to go. And they're quite nice ones as well. So first up, I still have Bright Lights Chard going absolutely storming in here in the polytunnel. But I'm going to sow some more because that, even though it's looking really good, once that heat gets to it, and it might start to fade off or go to seed. So I'm going to sow a backup bunch set. And I really do love this stuff. And I pick it quite hard and it just keeps on coming back. So it is really a great crop, and it's one to think about if you haven't tried it before. It looks really good as well. So if you're at home in a kitchen garden and you want just that little bit of zap of colour in there, if you're just fed up of looking at everything green, then the Bright Lights Chard is an absolute game changer in that respect, because it just looks really looks really good as a vegetable. Don't come better than that, to be fair. So they're all in. And again, this is in multi-purpose compost. I do like a bit of nutrients in the ground to kick them off. And then this is one for outside. It should really be directly sown, but got nagged at by the missus to grow some long white radish, and we're far too waterlogged outside, so I'm going to do them in trays first. And again, I'm going to wait for the true leaf to come on, and then they're straight outside. And I'll also do, by that time it would have dried out and the weather would have improved, so I can direct sow it again. So this is just a little bit of a bridging the gap sort of time wise. And you can sow these as many as you want per cell. They will grow in clumps, and I quite like growing in clumps, to be fair. I like to call this like sort of the bonus tray. I wasn't really planning on doing this, but I'm just seeing what gaps I've got and what I want to fill them with, and it kind of gives you a sort of direction on what to sow, so, and what you like to eat as well, clearly. So here we go, last but not least. And can I just say, to start with, I got this seed tray and I'm absolutely loving it. I bought some plug plants very early on, last season, and it came in this tray. And I've found it, if I want to do a bulk sowing of something, then this is the winner, and I can just leave it to one side. So it doesn't really come home with me, this one, because it's too big. I'll just stick it in the greenhouse or in here. And it's kind of, if I want something but I'm not desperate for it, I'll just sow a load in here and just see how it goes on. Or sort of, if I want to test seeds, I'll do it in here. So for this seed tray, all that aside, we'll go for leeks first. And it's good. I still need to harvest for leeks outside. Just been far too busy. So we're going to go with a fair few of these, because I want to see if they germinate or not. And if they do, it's an absolute bonus. I've already got some going, but what you'll notice when you're gardening on kind of a larger scale, you're always constantly sowing, and you're always just trying to extend the season or the growing season on different varieties. And if one works, brilliant. If it doesn't, then you can just sow it a couple of weeks after. So that's our theory. Now I've got two varieties of leeks, but I've got absolutely loads of seeds, so I might just go one variety in here and another in a different cell tray. I was going to mix them up, but I don't think I will, simply because I have too many seeds. And these are coming to the end of their life as well. These are, I'd say, a year out of date, so they need using up. Right, so that's the leeks out of the way. And what's better to grow next to leeks? Of course, it's spring onions. So I'm constantly doing trays of spring onions, because some will fail and some will work. And we have loads in the ground already, so succession, succession, succession. Now I went out and bought some extra spring onion seeds, thinking I didn't have enough. And then the fatal mistake, I looked through what seeds I've got and realised I've got 2 extra packets. So I may be very generous on the spring onions this year, but we'll see how we go. Right, so that's all the spring onions in. And then again, I'm going to try Pak Choi. Now, I love my Asian greens, and I love Pak Choi, really love it. But it's kind of my nemesis, because on this plot, got a lot of flea beetle, and they just destroy. When I put Pak Choi in anywhere, it doesn't survive. So I'm going to try and get this to germinate, and if it does, I'm just going to try and protect it as best I can. I've got some very fine insect proof netting, so we'll see where we go with this. And if I get a crop, absolutely fantastic. If I don't, at least I'll know I've tried, and I'm really going to try this year. So hence the reason I'm sowing fairly thickly. I will prick these out if they germinate. I just want the best chance of actually getting some Pak Choi in my life. And again, this is all on multi-purpose compost. Now guys, you won't believe this, but this is the way I transport my seed packets to the allotment, and generally it works. But I must have had a seed packet that's fell open through the car journey, and I now have the base of this tub full of seeds. And I like to call these, because it happens quite a lot, mystery seeds. I'll put them in a packet, and to be fair, they look like kale seeds. Never know, do you? I'll put them in a separate packet and I'll sow them in a mystery tub. And whatever comes up is an absolute bonus. It's just a bit of fun. And that's what I like to do with the seeds that drop out of packets and I have no idea what they are. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video on what to sow in March, and we continually sow, so keep an eye on the channel, or at least subscribe, and then we'll give you notifications on what we're sowing, because we don't just sow once per month. I sow in between as well, and it's always good to be notified. I have put a little WhatsApp group in the chat. Your name's not shown, or you can't write comments. You can just thumbs up and happy face or whatever. But that will give you kind of an insight day to day on what I'm doing as well. So it's free to join. You may as well. And it's brand new. And I haven't seen anyone else use WhatsApp. So let me know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. And if it's bad, doesn't do, I'll just scrap it. So again, thank you very much. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And we'll catch you next time.